There is a story we tell ourselves about loyalty. That staying means strength, that leaving means failure. That the longer you hold on, the more it proves you are someone who doesn't give up. But what if staying, the very thing you thought was saving you, was quietly costing you everything? Not all at once, never all at once. Just slowly, the way a candle doesn't explode, it simply runs out. We are raised on a particular kind of story. The one where love is proven through endurance, where commitment is measured in how much you can bear, where the person who stays, who grips harder when things get difficult, is held up as the gold standard of devotion. You heard it in small phrases growing up. Nothing worth having comes easy. Real relationships take work. And those things aren't untrue, but somewhere along the way, a quiet distortion crept in. The idea that asterisk suffering was the work, that tolerating pain was the same as asterisk building something. It wasn't something anyone told you directly, it was absorbed. The way children absorb everything through what they witnessed, what was praised, what was never questioned. And so you learned, staying is noble, leaving is abandonment, enduring is love, and if it hurts, well, that just means it matters. You may have felt this in the moments when you knew something was wrong, deeply, quietly wrong, but you pushed the feeling down, told yourself you were being dramatic, too sensitive, not trying hard enough. That feeling wasn't weakness. That feeling was information. But the myth was louder, and myths, when they are woven into our earliest understanding of love and loyalty, don't need to shout to be believed. They just live in you, quietly, running in the background like an old program no one ever closed. Here is what makes this particular myth so difficult to shake. It doesn't feel like a myth when you're inside it. It feels like conviction. And there are real, legitimate reasons why leaving feels impossible, why staying feels like the only morally acceptable option. We don't talk about those reasons enough, because they aren't simple and they aren't comfortable, and they ask us to look honestly at some of the most tender places inside ourselves. Fear is one layer, not fear of the person, not always, but fear of what leaving asterisk means asterisk about you. Fear that if you go, you confirm something you've always suspected, that you're not enough, that you couldn't make it work, that you are somehow the problem. Guilt is another layer. When someone has needed you, genuinely needed you, walking away can feel like a betrayal so profound it touches your very sense of identity. Who are you, if not the person who stayed? And then there is something even quieter than both of those, hope. The belief that if you just hold on a little longer, something will shift. They will change, you will find a way, the relationship will become what it once promised to be. Hope is not foolish, hope is deeply human. But there is a version of hope that becomes a trap, a gilded cage built of almost and maybe and one more chance. And you can love someone completely and still be imprisoned by the hope of who they might become. The thing no one prepares you for is this. Staying has a cost, a real one, a measurable one, and it is paid not in a single lump sum, but in small, almost invisible installments, daily, quietly, until one day you reach for something inside yourself and find that it isn't there anymore. You reach for your sense of humor. You used to be funny, warm, the kind of person who lit up rooms, and you can feel that person somewhere inside you, distantly, like a voice calling from the end of a long hallway. You reach for your opinions, and you notice you hesitate now. You wait to see what the room wants before you speak. You reach for the version of yourself that trusted your own instincts, that knew when something felt wrong and said so without apologizing 3 times for mentioning it. She's still there, he's still there, you're still there. But something has been eroding, not because of one catastrophic moment, but because of 10,000 small moments when you minimized yourself to keep the peace, when you swallowed what was true to avoid conflict, when you rearranged your feelings to fit into a shape that wouldn't inconvenience someone else. This is the cost no one names, not the dramatic loss, the quiet one, the gradual disappearance of yourself, so slow you almost don't notice it happening. Until one ordinary day, in an ordinary moment, you look in the mirror and think, when did I stop recognizing myself? It rarely arrives the way you expect. You imagine that if you ever reached your limit, you would know, that there would be a final, dramatic scene, a last betrayal so clear and undeniable that it would shatter every reason you had left to stay. But for most people, the turning point is smaller than that. It's a Tuesday afternoon when someone asks how you are, and for a moment, just a moment, you can't remember what happiness felt like. Not the performed kind, the real kind. The kind that rises from somewhere unbidden, unforced, because life is genuinely, quietly good. It's the moment you catch yourself explaining your own sadness to yourself as though you're apologizing for it. It's the realization that you've been so focused on managing someone else's emotional weather that you have no idea what your own sky looks like anymore. These moments don't announce themselves as turning points while they're happening. They feel like nothing, a quiet internal click, a thought you almost dismiss. But something in you registers it. Some part of you that has been waiting, watching, recording, it marks that moment, files it away. Because the body knows before the mind admits it. The nervous system keeps score long before the heart is willing to look at the numbers. And something, somewhere, has finally started adding it up. Let's be careful here. Because leaving is not always the answer. Not every difficulty is a sign to go. Not every painful season is proof that something should end. But there is a difference between a relationship that is difficult and a relationship that is diminishing. Difficult means you're both navigating something hard together. There is friction, yes, but underneath it, there is still regard, still something that moves toward growth, however unevenly, however imperfectly. Diminishing is something else. Diminishing is when the experience of being in this relationship, this job, this version of your life, consistently costs you access to yourself, when you are less curious, less alive, less able to feel the full range of what you are capable of feeling. And here is the truth that the myth never taught you. Leaving something that is diminishing you is not failure, it is not weakness, it is not giving up. It is the most terrifying form of self-respect. Because it asks you to trust that you are worth more than the comfort of what is familiar, that you deserve to live in a way that doesn't require you to shrink, that the grief of ending something real is not evidence that leaving was wrong, it is evidence that what you had mattered. You can love something completely and still know, with devastating clarity, that staying was making you disappear. There is a grief one warns you about. The grief of leaving something that was hurting you. You expect to feel free, and you do, sometimes, in flashes, in unexpected moments, on ordinary mornings when you wake up, and the weight is lighter than you remembered. But there is also loss, real loss, the loss of the future you imagined, the loss of the person you wanted them to be, the loss of the version of yourself that still believed it was going to work. That grief is not a sign you made the wrong choice. It is the sign that you were human enough to love something fully, recklessly, with everything you had. And now you are human enough to mourn it. You are allowed to be both relieved and heartbroken, both certain and shaken, both free and undone. Those things can exist inside you at the same time. They often do. What you are rebuilding now is not just a life without that person or that place or that version of yourself. You are rebuilding something quieter and far more important. You are remembering who you were before you made yourself smaller to fit into somewhere you were never going to belong. And that person, the one who never left, who is waiting underneath all of it, they are still here. They were always here.